And welcome to another Telling It Like It Is. My name is Jade Alberts, the founder of Peer Guidance. We are a purpose before profit group that helps small startups grow, scale, and get anything that they need. That's what we do. I would also like to thank Edmonton Unlimited for sponsoring this over the summer. They have a community coffee, kind of like Founders Coffee here in Calgary, except it's on Wednesdays from 9 to 11, and they buy the coffee. So if you're an entrepreneur, you want to meet like-minded people, definitely head down there. It's a place to be. I highly recommend it. Networking and conversing with like-minded individuals is something that's extremely important to not only your mental health, but actually, growing your business as well. And let's get to today. I am extremely excited about this conversation because, as I said, the next almost 6 to 8 weeks is going to be about companies that are helping people, and this is one of the most inspiring stories I have come across. I've gotten to know HP over the last few months, and she's inspiring to me as well. So, finally, welcome to the show. How are you today?
Hi, Jay, and hi, everybody. I'm doing very great, and I'm excited to be on the show.
Oh, we're excited to have, and of course, I also wanted to say congratulations on your wedding a few weeks ago.
Thank
Like the big, big,
you.
big, big summer for you.
Oh, I see. As you see, I'm still new to this marriage thing. I forgot my ring today.
Well, I'll give the only piece of advice I'm going to give you is if your husband loses his wedding ring, like I did 20 some years ago, don't get mad at him. We'd never mean to lose our wedding rings. It just sometimes happens.
I think you guys will hang very well. We just buy off a ring from Amazon for $19, so even if he ruins his ring, we're fine.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. It's I mean, again, I lost mine, and actually I thought it was in my wife's purse for the longest time. And I said, "Do you have my ring?" She goes, "No." I was like, "Oh,
Uh-oh.
oh." I don't know. I don't know. I took it off for sports so much that I mean, maybe I left it in a dressing room or it fell out of my. I don't know. It's been gone for 20 plus years, but hey, I don't need a ring to know I'm married. So
I I totally agree, and to be honest, if something goes wrong, God forbid, but if I don't think the ring will stop anyone. So
no,
wearing it or not, it's really to in your heart. This is what I believe.
100% agree with that. There's no doubt there.
Yeah.
But I mean, let's talk about passion and love, because I love the way that your story, your entire story of coming here as a new immigrant, to finding something, to struggling, to making it, to helping people. So please share the Kibbi story for us.
Yeah. So I came here to Canada in December, the last few days of December 2020. And as you know, in Calgary, that was when I arrived. The next day, we were going through full lockdown. So by uh, that being said, in the next 6 months, it was very challenging to find jobs. And even for myself, like with the MPA, an MBA working in multiple countries in Asia, I would still struggle with the job search journey. Like no one really responded. And that hurt your confidence quite drastically. But then since I have so much free time, then I would like to make the most meaning of it. So I participate Calgary Vietnamese Women Association, which I later become a chair. And that gave me exposure to a very interesting problem is that when restaurants and things are start opening up in the second quarter of 2021, everything on the news was like labor shortage, people don't want to work, and yet and so on. However, I was in the community, we desperately need for jobs, and then we don't know where those jobs are. So I've hear hotels owner or restaurant would say, "Hey, do you know anyone from your community? I need staff." Then I share it to the people I know in the association, and many of them got back to me with the same issue. Where is it? Can you help me apply? Can I apply with our resume? Can I walk there, introduce myself? And oh, is it too far? I have to bus to work. So I've seen a very common set of problems of how the community looking for jobs. So I sit down with a group of Vietnamese aunties and moms and women mostly. Then I ask, tell me exactly how you look for jobs, and step by steps, what do you use, what keyword they use, and then I go there and I vet that with the local employer. So it got it very it bring up to the very interesting is that all of the job search in our this part of the world is really catered for the local, and it's not that by nature but by the job board word as well, is that everything would be like job title or employer's name. Being an immigrant, when you first into the country trying to settle, you're open to look for any jobs. So for example, I'm a master, I'm trying to find my back into marketing. However, I'm open to work anything in between just to settle, right? So this is where you've seen a lot of like master student, surgeon, architecture is driving Uber, trying to apply back to where, or upgrading professional certificate to go back, or learning English to get back to where he aspired to be. So that is like the transition process. And on the we would take any jobs, and first we don't know the employer's name, so that is like the unfamiliar, being unfamiliar with the new country. So even now I would know the major brands, of course, but I still don't know what is my local cafe down the street or local accounting shop, you know, like down the street. So that come with like knowing the network or already being familiar, which we don't have. We don't have the network to introduce us, and 85% of the jobs are being filled through the social network, but we don't have access to those circles. So there's a lot, and based on the journey too, in the first 5 years we would like, there's a lot of things we need to do during the settlement process, including learning English, getting certificate, even food safety, or like alcohol serving. All of those things takes time, and this is where we need to be able to be flexible, find job near home, near school, or near university if they are an international students, just to accommodate and to balance the work life, as well as to find income to battle this inflation right now with the rent too. I want to give is a big thing in the community. So into going more to that, I've just seen that the current way of search for job is not really cater. So I just have a very simple idea, is that how to make it easy for a newcomer to, when they first land into their neighborhood. For example, I know I'm moving to Calgary, then I want to, my community is in the northeast. What are the job in the area that I can walk to, or I can easily apply. So the concept started just simple like that, and then we would also we identify the other barrier, for example, language barrier, resume barrier. So it's fun fact. Do you know that you have to be English level 4, Canadian fluency level 4 for the nonprofit to start helping you with a resume? And in order to reach level 4, a lot of my client, a lot of the people I survey, it took them 2 years to have a resume
Really?
supported by the nonprofit. So, but no, it's just like the structure of the programs, right? I think the nonprofit really want to help. So a lot of them will go to international students or people with fluent English like myself, asking to help them write one. So there's a few barriers there, and
Mhm.
and in the meantime, Canada is going through a labor shortage. More than 80% of the job, you don't need a high school diploma. So this is where if we can ease the access of this new growing workforce into fill this role, just to help them settle first, and then I think that we can solve a problem. So, but of course, that was what I want. I am a non-technical founder, very fresh to the land, no experience in the job search, but figured out baby steps. We still got where we are today. Mhm.
Well, and I think that's awesome because I did not know that they need a level four. I just assumed, again, probably like everybody else, that when they come here, they're able to get that help. And I know Neil and I speak at the newbie program with the new immigrants entrepreneur program there, and especially helping the females and making them understand and telling them about events and making sure that all their questions are answered from people who have been around for a little bit. But I love the fact that you actually help these new entrepreneurs that are looking for jobs, whether it be in a restaurant, in a hotel, along the lines, and taking into consideration that they need public transit. They need to be along the C train or a bus route. It can't. They live in the Northwest. They can't work in the Southwest. It might take them 2 hours to get to work, and things like that. Not only are very stressful on somebody who it may be having troubles adopting to a new country. So, when you were kind of building this idea, what were people saying along those lines? Is that how you got that idea, or was it kind of your vision in the beginning?
No, it's actually based on the very common feedback of, hey, HB, can you help me find this? And there's always the proximity to I'm open to take any job, but especially Canada, Calgary, winter is very cold. So this is where a lot of employers see big uh, like staff turnover during this period if they rely on public transport, right? So this is where HB, I need to pick up my kids. I'm willing to work overnight. I'm willing to work and anytime, but I need to be enclosed because I have to take English in, like, for example, Center for Newcomer in the morning, and then I live around this area. Is there any job in the area? So some of them even, when I showed them to the mall Kibbi, she even used along the line, along the way that her husband go to work, so that they can share a car. So something as simple like that. And for international students as well, as they would be like, I want to find part-time job, but this is my school, this is my home. I don't want to go out of the way down to South Swansea, and like just for a job. So because we're talking about the entry level roles, that sometimes distance doesn't really make sense for people to drive that far if the gas, if the hours, if and they're receiving like minimum wage or 18 to less. I've seen this most common when jobs that less than 18 or $20.
Oh, so yeah. So again, that entry level job that will really make a difference in someone's lives,
And
whatever whatever they're here for, whether they came
uh,
for work or they came for maybe their husband got transferred or is here. Like, I mean,
so
it's very important.
So there is also the second is that is the convenience, also the community part of it. So a lot of them in the most of the lady, for you do see that, for example, Vietnamese, when they're basic English speaker, they would just go to Vietnamese salon or pho. So that is like because it's the only thing they can communicate. But then when I talk to a hotel owner, I said I'm okay if they don't speak English because my chefs speak Arabic. As long as they speak Arabic, I'm fine. So those are the accommodations that a lot of inclusive employer that I've known to trying to accommodate, trying to go through this labor shortage. However, there's very hard to find these two to connect. And a lot of the newcomer, the community part of this is, hey, I live 2 blocks down from here. Certainly this facilitate that I go to this service, I see you, I live in this neighborhood. So it's sometimes that these are what we're trying to build. The Kibbi means community. So we're just trying to, because we work on the belief that when you're not only you settle, you're finding income, but you also build a network right in your community in your first year. That would be much better than it feels more welcome in the sense that now, oh, I'm working with my neighbor and I can walk down, and then there's like a trust factor, the community factor that we want to foster.
No, and I think that's so important. And you've been able to to grow and to obviously build your business with the support of
The
the
community.
Alberta startup ecosystem, whether it be you work at a platform, you've met so many people there, you've been able to partner with Manpower and things like that. So I mean, I talk about it all the time, and sometimes people are like, "Oh, Jade, you're just saying that again." But I would love for you to share, the power of the community and the support and the people, and drop names and companies and whoever you want that have been able to, help you achieve some of your goals, and with Kibby.
Uh, so this one, I would even go down to the small level of individual. So I'm a non-technical background. I don't know how to code. I never even make a web. I try to make website when I was younger, but never an app or really something like really professionally like this. So when I have this idea, I pitch to my own Facebook, LinkedIn, as well as Vietnamese in Calgary, like Vietnamese in Canada, and different community groups on social media platform,
Yeah.
social media group. I posted there that I have an idea of build this app. Anybody have experience? I have a few questions. Anyone know how to code or developer want to support? My first founding team was very interesting. My first friend is like friends from high school. Then so it's not here in Canada, but he helped me understand that, oh, you need back end, front end, full stack, or UX UI, how to build a basic. Then we start to get a data analyst kid, which was a university, as he was studying at University of Calgary, and he was working at the Pho part-time job at a Pho restaurant. And then we have a graphic designer was working at Dollarama, like really nice design girl. However, her English is like still trying to perfect her English. So this is where she's taking part-time jobs. So we have a very called like underdog team. I would say like that first group, and then my front end developer right now, he whatever you see in our development is done by him. He was like a banker before, like a bank a client associate turned learn code for a year. And so we have a very interesting group, because I came here, I used my savings to build on this project. I don't have a lot, because as I share, struggled to find job in the beginning. So I would try to use any supportive or any support that I can get to help it started in the beginning of the journey, being a newcomer and also new to this. So this where the only funding I could access to is a futurepreneur program. So I want to give them a thumbs up. They were like, because you are like, I don't have credit score, like or the network to raise equity, right?
Yeah.
So that where their funding of 20K was like really instrumental to help us to build the prototype or even just to gain any traction. And then from there, I just use that MVP built by the team to reach out to the nonprofit and to see, just to really vet the utility of the development, to see if there's any interest. Does it make sense for them? Do they find user friendly? And we got support from an organization there, one of the biggest employment service in Alberta called Prospect Now. And Prospect Now team was amazing. They understand the concept. Not only they support the concept, but they also, hey, HB, we will introduce to our client, and they share the app to their client, and that's how we have the app live with 200 users and gradually increase in June last year. So um, that shows how Alberta is, right? Because I'm like, you don't know me. I call outreach email to you, you reply, you bring the whole management team, the whole team in, or they like it and they just promote it. So uh, Prospect Now is always thankful for the team. Then later, we start to reach out to more nonprofits. For example, Center for Newcomer Immigrant Service of Calgary, are like supportive Mosaic in BC. Then from there, I start to have pretty much call a little bit of validation around our development and the app, even from the local side as well. For example, the Mustard Seed team, Goodwill, they're also a very supportive team. Then we would go there and start to build a pitch deck, because like our funding is like running low. Or it will come to the point that if we cannot fundraise, do we still pursue this, or should I start go back and apply to like to go back to working in the corporate. Then when I sent out to this pitch deck, I sent it to the platform team, and that there was an opening of the incubation program. Jen, we have an interview with Jen, and then she was like, "Hey, come join." And suddenly I was like exposed, giving more exposed to the ecosystem. That is where I met you. You know, and then I met so many exciting like I met Rod from so he was like a director of Deloitte workforce before, and then we met so many mentor at the platform, like being part of the program, and from there we got it was the platform that say, hey, Better Kid had an hourly, so um, I have a talk, and then they feature us on their journal, which is one of the most prestigious journal that I even read about artist startup from there. So yeah, it was a very exciting journey. And then even when I was there, even to watch the other making friends, for example, there's a lot of startup that I aspire to, for example, other female or male or female, I actually just appreciate the hustling. So if you're a hustler, no matter what you are, I love it. There is no bias between gender, but I do know that it's harder for example, for female, especially if they have kids, to really balance so much and to be a hustler. So I do appreciate that. So we met like the CEO of Vivid Well, and then I've learned a lot from everybody. Like certainly my head is blank, but definitely we mentioned more names along the way.
Oh no, I mean, and thank you for sharing that, because as I said, like I talk about it a lot, and some people probably just think I ramble on about it, but some, like, whether you, the people that you mentioned, Jen Lucier, Liz, I mean, I love Liz and what they're doing at Village Wealth, and Liz has been on this show a long time ago. Jen's been on the show. I mean, I mean, it's something that I just love what we have here in Alberta, and how we all work together and how we collaborate and help each other. So I think that's such a big part of why Kibby's been successful, is because everybody will say, yes, I'll help you here, I'll introduce you here, and it
Mhm.
makes a big difference, and especially someone that doesn't know the ecosystem, or doesn't really know what's next, and really needs that help. It made a difference for yourself.
Yeah, I think how tight the system is, and so my experience is that is I take baby steps, because if I don't know, then I'll ask. But then, for example, you mentioned four names, then I will, and then not only people refer or mention, hey, have you talked to the platform? Have you explore CDL? Have you talked to the 51? Thumbs up to the 51, my investor too. Then we would like I would learn about it. Not only that, it give me directions to navigate, because like what in the ecosystem that would be related to what I do, right? So because I'm not in the AI or like blockchain, so you never mention folks in that ecosystem, but then you would mention folks that similar. Not only people that helps us in direction, but also people willing to give like introduction email, which is very helpful. I think it's way better than the cold outreach. And so that's something that I really appreciate. And it helps grow fast, or like getting to the right people.
Oh, absolutely. Warm introductions are so good. And for anybody that's listening and wants to head to the Kibby website, it's mykibby.ca, sorry, .com. It's in the comment section. Just click on it. You'll go directly there. I know that you've got some really interesting things that have been happening, and you've expanded a little bit, and you're working with some of your partners. So why don't you share what's next for Kibby?
Um, so like many startups, we make a mistakes, right? So there's a time when we first started the app, we were trying to get validation, and we reached out to for the nonprofit and different stakeholders across Canada, just to validate the concept, but it comes to the point that being a platform, meaning we have the network from both sides, both the local business as well as a job seeker side. So if one of these two factors doesn't really big enough, or like for example, we get an employer in Ontario on board in a part of Ontario where we're not strong at, so it doesn't secure the customer satisfaction as well. It's also great. It gives so much like not focus for the team. So right now we're going narrow down to build Alberta to be our, what do we call, the atomic network, so that we would try to perfect improve our concept product and like go to market in Calgary, later Edmonton first before we go broad again. And we currently expanding. We have a very close knit of team. All of my team, except for my head of revenue, all of us are immigrants. He joke all the time that he is diversity hire at Kibbi.
Funny.
Because the rest of us are all immigrants, and with two refugee, one from Ukraine, one is like Vietnamese poor person in the 80s. So we all live the problem and resonate with the mission. So it's a drastic change from being a solo founder to having not only a relatively big team for me, but also very experienced team, because all of our the team is like 15 at least years in the doing what they do. So it's a very exciting journey for me. And also, I've learned so much about the difference between the way of doing business. So, for example, the way that I pitch or the way that Dave does business, I can see, oh, okay, there is like the cultural nuance to it. That's also like that I think that immigrant founders need to be aware of. So, um, yeah, still learning a lot. For what next, we will narrow down on the here. We in some good partnership, but because we are still in discovery sections with these stakeholders, so I'm not be able to share. But look forward to the KP announcement in the very near future.
Oh, I like announcements. Announcements are good.
Also, I'm not a very active on LinkedIn. I'm a very heads down. So, but yeah, for example, talking about support. So we got visibility at the Calgary airport. So which is like amazing. And normally for a startup, it would be impossible. It's for very hard or very costly. But that shows how supportive the ecosystem here to support good startup, or like or they resonate with the mission. Mhm.
No, absolutely. Well, I hope you at least like Minister Nate Glubish post about promoting your company and the good things that you're doing on LinkedIn.
Oh,
But again, I think that the great work that you and your team and Dave and everybody that's part of the Kibby family, it shows that even the government recognizes that there's something here that needs help, that needs to be done for these new immigrants that are looking for these entry level jobs. And and as you said, it goes back to what you did when you were doing your discovery about what's important to them. It's got to be close to home. It's got to be on transit. Little things like that make a big, big, big difference instead of just trying to create something and hoping people adapt to it. So
yeah.
that's kudos to you. And I know you've been, growing and talking to a lot of people. So that's a great thing. And I'm very excited to be watching how you grow Kibby, across Canada and then hopefully the world.
That's the dream, Jade. Um, and is there any like what are the so one thing we're very excited is not only we empower them, but it's also to uplift resources, right? So far now, what we're trying to where we got certain support is that not every nonprofit who really willing to help can have the capability of speaking 60 languages. So in order to update each job or translate job listing into those languages is also a barrier and exhaust resources from the nonprofit as well.
Yeah.
So this is where now, if you're, for example, the app support most of the refugee language, whether you're from Pakistan, Syrian, or Ukrainian, then there is a Dari, Pashto, Arabic versions of Kibbi that you can help you with along with the journey. Not only that, the resume that we help, because I cannot imagine my basic English speaking mom can write a resume or the cover letter for each job. However, there's certain traits that we can just use technology by using AI to help them ease this conversation. So I'm a basic English speaker, I'm expired to work, this is my skill. So those things, using AI and using the data points that we have, we can just help them to have that first step, to have that first like cover letter, and by just one click on the app. And on the employer side, not only they can view who are like immigrant, refugee, international student right in their neighborhood. If there's a language barrier, or the app support translating between the two language as well. So that you can text in English, they can reply you in Arabic or Ukrainian, and you two can still understand each other. And if anything, can go back to the app to do that, right? For further translation. So we're not talking about like roles that receptionist. There are two types of roles. For example, reception. If you hire receptionist, definitely put fluent English in your listing in our app. But if something that you like, someone to stack the bar, someone like housekeeping, or someone to support you with roles, or you have a Ukrainian in the team that can communicate, then maybe you're open for basic English speaker. Then just let it know and the community know, so they can start applying for the right jobs. Mhm.
No, I
So
love it. I love what you've created, and kudos to you, and for helping the people that really need that help, integrating into our society and feeling part of our community. So thank you for that. But I mean, I'm always sad when our conversations are coming to a close. But I would like to, I've asked this last question many, many, many times, almost 300 times. But the one thing that I would like to put a little spin on it, and get your thoughts of it as an immigrant, for somebody coming here. So, if you had one piece of advice for an immigrant looking to become an entrepreneur in
Mhm.
Alberta, what would that be? Or anywhere for that matter.
Does it have to be like immigrant entrepreneur specific, or like
Well,
gen?
no, I mean, just it could be any entrepreneur, but
I think for a lot of immigrant entrepreneur, we're shy. I think the first is the confidence. First is like a lack of the network is actually a key, because you know in Canada, a lot of people told me it's who you know, and suddenly for this group of people, you don't know many, but in the beginning only, so you will know more at times of progress. But then um they forget the very big advantage that they have is the multilingual part, and have access to a very specific set of community that normally the local Canadian doesn't have access to. So, for example, I could start building the concept of Kibbi because I have access to resources or talents in the community who are willing to support, which would have cost me a fortune to build. Then now I could, like by having access to the resources. So I just really, you have more. I think the message that you will have more than what you think you have, and sometimes that is enough for you to start in the beginning. So I get introduction to investor. One of my lead is also I have my way to a bank venture forum, but my champion that really changed my startup journey was also a Vietnamese VC that was a keynote speaker at the forum. So I have a contact to her. So sometimes those special connections of being far to the land will help you build rapport to a certain set of individual in the community tighter. So I think those are the people that you should tap first. to just to kickstart the project. And they are the affiliations of both being far of home country or something is very strong. So I think that immigrant founders should tap in those resources first. And once you decided, there's a lot of times that I think the difference between me with a few other way of doing things is once you decide what you need to do or want to do, the rest is just about problem solving, you know. So but it's not about the lack of resources. Okay, if we want to do this, if we cannot have those resources, how else do we do that, you know? So for me, it's all about there's 1,000 ways to Rome. You don't have to go the way that the people tell you to go if that way is not really relevant to you, because you're like founders with disability or LGBT or like indigenous or women, visible minority. If it's not, you don't think that works for you, or you see that people with that group that explore that doesn't work, then what are the other way? So I think it's about figure the how. And when I think like that, for example, they told one people, so yesterday we have a very good conversation with another female startup founder on how I did my fundraising. Then I said, you should go to this bank and like this forum, you know. And then she said, are you sure? And then I'll get you a ticket. And then she said, oh, can you let me know when I know to book the ticket? Just book the ticket, you know, like we know we have to be there. I don't know how, just buy the ticket and we'll figure out how we get into the event later, you know. So that is the mentality in that I really encourage, or at least I trying to do within my team, and to how I do it. So when I know what I need to do, I will do it, and I will have it. So that and I don't know if you find it helpful.
Absolutely helpful. There is no doubt there. Anytime that anybody shares some of their knowledge and their advice, it's always helpful to
Mhm.
somebody out there that's watching or listening. So
And
again, HP, go ahead.
oh, I'm sorry. Same twist into the team. So, for example, when you develop something, or you trying to think something that outside the box, then you know, like the team, no, I no, it can be done. Is that don't tell me it cannot be done. Tell me how we can do it. You know, so that is also internal mindset as well as you like this. Then yeah, and phrasing what you want very well so that people can explore different way. Don't tell them the how, just say, hey, we need to have this, and let the team and then let yourself figure out the how. But if you stick on to we need to get that by doing this, then suddenly you get stuck.
Yeah, getting stuck is not good. Oh, but again, thank you, HP, thank you for all you do, helping our community, helping the new immigrants in Alberta and across our great country. And I really appreciate you coming in, sharing your story. I'm excited about helping you in any way we can, and sharing your story as well. So for all the listeners out there, if you want more information, it's mykibbi.com, or just click on the comment section. Again, if you're in Edmonton, you heard HP talk about the importance of community, the importance of networking. Every Wednesday morning at 9:30 or 9 to 11. Community coffee, Founders Coffee, is every Tuesday, 7:30 a.m. here at Red's Diner in Calgary. So HP, thank you again. I hope you have a great week, and I'm sure we will be talking soon.